mentorship. I think I must simply summarize or once again repeat what all I have said in my short videos as regards growing leaderships or growing leaders in a manner which is easy to remember. And I title it the key points in growing leadership. My friend, all that you need to know. And it is actually very easy to remember is the generic role of the leadership together with the essentials of the intellectual, communication and time management. Clusters. Everything else, my friend, when judging leaders or would-be leaders falls under the heading of the fitness of their professional or technical knowledge. I make it very simpler and sum it up in terms of the key points, my friend, for you to easily remember while selecting leaders in your attempt to grow leaders. My friend, growing leaders, as I said, is not easy. Why not select people for leadership roles who already have a rich potential for leadership within themselves? That is the whole exercise in any corporate sector or any working environment where the senior most strategic leaders have a very great responsibility of choosing the right person who has the latent ingredients of leadership in him or her, while further training him or her and promoting it to the next level, from team leadership to operation leadership and from operational to strategic. My friend, natural selection of leader needs to be understood. Leaders are emergent, elected or appointed, or sometimes the combinations of all three. You take example of the Prime Minister of my country. He emerges in his party, is elected by his member of parliament's colleagues of his party, and is then appointed by the president of the country. My friend, difficulty arises when electors or selectors lack the first-hand knowledge of the candidate for a leadership role. Problem lies here. The qualities I talked about, situational and group or functional approaches taken together provide this necessary criteria of knowing whom to select or whom to appoint, of looking in your people what to be seen before selecting or promoting. The group, as I said, or the functional approach worked well in leadership selection most of the places. Leadership has neighboring, I would say, concepts living in the same street. The intellectual communication and self-management and the galaxies of skills, qualities and abilities. Eclectic lists of competencies I have talked about, my friend, are drawn from these four constellations, have value, but they need to be kept short and simple, which inevitably makes them more generic in nature. If an organization doesn't understand the key concept of leadership, my friend, remember, any institution, any organization wherever you're working at, any level of leadership, be the team leadership, be the operational leadership or the strategic leadership. If any organization, institution doesn't understand the key concept of the leadership and its essential terms, it should not expect to be wise in its choice of selecting the leaders. Just simply cannot. Someone said it very beautifully that nobody doubted his capacity to rule until he became the king or the emperor, or in our modern day terms, until he becomes the CEO or he reached the level of the strategic leaderships. Nobody doubted his capacity to rule until he reached the top position. My friend, these are simple key points in selecting or developing leadership, which we all can remember very comfortably without getting into the too many of highfalutin sounding technical words. But ultimately, I will say once again that growing leaders is not easy. There is a very important factor that those who selecting the leaders, they should firstly equip themselves of the basic knowledge of what they got to look into them. My friend, remember these key points and you will never go wrong in the environment you are working. Tomorrow I shall talk about mentorships. Wishing all of you a very happy Holi. Thank you very much.